Oh man. Oh man. Whoa, how's it going, guys? If we had not have the pleasure of meeting yet after that big old yawn, my name is Andrew, that is Professor Meatball, and you are here in my living room with that cool battle axe guitar, with that porg, with that smiling crying emoji, with my hedgehog collection, with my book over there, with my clock, and with Josh, also known as user HeyItsPixel, who is going to come on the stream in just a few minutes to answer your questions. Yes, you! I'm looking at you guys in the live chat. I'm always watching. One of the things that I wanted to mention is that I appreciate you guys. We are about to hit a huge milestone on this channel. We are about to hit 20,000 subscribers. So if you're currently watching and you're not subscribed, do you want to be the 20,000th subscriber? That's the first question. Doesn't that sound fun? We're on that journey to 20,000. Can you imagine? Guess when I was at 10,000 subs. Just give it a quick guess. Before we get started, this is the pleasantries. This is the talk back. Right now, this is my actual host. I'm the co-host. My name is Andrew. I'm a data scientist here in Silicon Valley. That is Professor Meatball. Today, we are talking to the Nostradamus of GameStop. We're talking to the general of understanding when the squeeze is going to happen. We are going to talk to HeyItsPixel. Now, nobody's perfect, so I never said that his DD is flawless. But if you guys had questions about understanding what goes on into his DD, this is your chance. I'm going to be looking through the live chat for the next few minutes to make sure that these questions are going to be answered. And in which order? Well, whichever order you guys put them out at. I'm also going to invite one of you to come chill on the Zoom chat. Josh has already agreed. He thinks it's a great idea. And I want you guys to be able to have that as part of the one-on-ones I give out randomly to my tier 2 members in YouTube. If I still haven't picked that person yet, so what you need to do is go on down to the community tab on YouTube where I talked about getting you guys on this Josh and me one-on-one, and then comment, "I am not a cat" in that community post. I have yet to see a single tier 2 member comment there, just one tier 1 member. So currently that person is the only person in the running. Let's see. Drew40 says, "OMG, this is awesome." He's the only person that commented, and 25 seconds ago he said, "I have to tell you, I'm in no way prepared, very, very new to investing, want to just soak up the knowledge, never expected to be picked, would love if you gave this chance to someone else more deserving. Thank you, Andrew, regards, Andy." So he has now already rejected the offer, so the offer still stands. Any one of you who is a tier 2 member, which is called the Professor, Meatball the Professor member, by pressing the join button down below, you can become one right now and get in on the action. In the next 10 minutes, I'm gonna pick all of the comments from tier 2 members and then randomly shuffle them up and then give one of you a chance to join that Zoom call. All right. Lord Weird says, "Feel like I should be exempt from entering in this, though I kind of want to." Lord Weird, you are more than welcome to. If you comment right now, I will enter you in the running. And if it turns out that there's more than one of you members, Damian Clark just joined as a member. The way he did that was he went down and pressed the join button down below. Of course, you guys are in no way or shape obligated to do this. This is just a chance to give back to the community that is supporting the channel, and by just watching the show, you guys are supporting it. I also want to do a quick shout out. I just finished an interview on someone else's show. It's someone called Jobs Not Finished Pod, also known as @_MKSAY. Really cool podcast, really cool guy. Asked me a lot of great questions about what I thought about GME, about data science, and here is his YouTube channel as well. I'm gonna go ahead and put that in live chat. You guys go ahead and show him some love. He's a small YouTube channel. I was only about 2,000 subs a couple of weeks ago. So like GME, I'm about to, as a 20,000 subscriber, thank you guys. I'm going to try and retrace my steps and understand exactly how I got here. All right, so I'm still looking at that community tab post, and I'm just gonna go ahead and put it in here as well, so you guys don't even have to go look for it. If you check out the community tab from time to time, I do post there pretty regularly, and if you guys have followed me on Instagram and sent me your dogs, you probably knew that Meatball went on a cute little journey, so that is on my Instagram story as well. Matthew, thank you for the super. Question for you in the general: if the apes hold, will the short sellers drive the price of GME down to where we saw it on Tuesday? That's a great question for the general. and that's why I'm going to add it to a big document of questions that we are hoping for him to be able to answer. Now, he only was able to give us 30 minutes of his time today, so when he comes on, that is how much time we are expecting to be able to have. So we have some other questions here. Question: stock markets with Bruce thinks that hedge funds will buy calls at double the quantity they need to cover. What makes us think that they won't sell off cheap? That's a great question. Let's add that to the document as well. Okay. Aman just joined the membership club. Thank you so much for joining. And that's because he pressed that join button down below. Let's see. So we got some more questions. Scott Bull says, be careful calling him general. This is true. SEC is looking for someone to blame. Rook and Pawn says, hey, Andrew, do you think the 5-minute candle analysis actually tell a story behind the various actors of the last few days? That was briefly discussed in the DD, and I don't think that, personally, I don't think that there is a lot to tell directly from the candles themselves. Let's see. We got some more questions. Mike, Mr. Mike. Wouldn't it make sense if... Okay, that's pretty specific. The Spiz says, I click on join and nothing pops up. Let me know if someone else has that problem. I haven't experienced that problem quite yet. If Josh or Josh's wife or Josh's wife's boyfriend is currently watching, go ahead. You have access to the document. If you see a question you don't want to answer, just go ahead and delete it. I do not want you to feel obliged to answer any of these questions. Let's see. I'm just picking them from the chat. Want to know what Josh was doing 1 month, 3 months, 6 months ago? That's a pretty interesting question. Probably a little bit too specific to him. If you guys are just joining, we have 1,300 of you ready and raring to go to talk to Josh, who is going to jump on in 20 minutes and talk about the GameStop saga. He is the author of the End Game DD. You guys watched it. The last the video update that I put on the channel was exactly his work. So we are going to talk directly to him and see exactly where he is. Okay, let's see. Jonathan Klein, ask hard questions, don't just crush. Okay, let's see. Let's see what happens. Nostradamus was a name that he embraced himself, but if he doesn't feel like it now embodies who he wants to be, I'm happy to change that as well. Let's see. Dope. Let's see. Vegas chef Andrew. Hey, this guy is the personal chef of a big Instagram star. He says, good morning, my G. So friggin' stoked for the upcoming weeks. Let's make that bread. Check my Instagram message to see what plans are even going to be take us even further. Sure thing, man. Herman Hins says, hey, Andrew, congrats on almost 20K subscribers. Super stoked to hear HeyItsPixel on the show today. Yes, we are hyped up. We are excited. Let's see. Meatball falling asleep in class. Meatball. I'm supposed to cover for him as his underling, as his kohai. Yes, senpai. I will cover for you. Don't worry. Let's see. Hyde says, can we discuss with Josh what will happen during a short squeeze? What will happen when the hedge funds run out of money? Who is paying for all of that? That's a pretty good general question. I think we've covered it a couple times on the show, but it would be interesting to get that generally answered. Let's see. What else do we got? Okay. Some of you, let's see. Matthew, thank you for the super. Jose says your channel's about to moon. Let's see. Massacre Manfred. The same short share can be bought and sold multiple times, adding to short volume without increasing the short interest. This throws off many, if not most, of OP's calculations. Josh, you have reply. I don't think that throws off most of his calculations, but let's see what he has to say. Shadi Jabali, question for Josh. What are his thoughts on hedgy switching the play and buying call options? Will this affect the short squeeze? In his DD, he covered that the call options are mainly held by an unknown institutions, mainly. Nimbus says, I have a friend who wants to know if there's any way to speculate the number at which Citadel is going to start pulling some effery like they did with Robinhood. Nimbus, can you ask your question again without the swear so I can put it on the screen? let's see, the Spiz. What are the odds of squeeze happening after hours and we can't sell at peak, or will this be a multi-day event? That's pretty cool. I think the Spiz and Bram Baker have asked the exact same question. 1,500 of you in here. Smash that like button for Josh. We are getting ready for him to come in. I'm just fielding some questions for now. I'm also, at the beginning of this live stream, mentioned that you could have a chance to talk to Josh on our one-on-one-on-one. Every week I decide a random tier 2 member to get that opportunity. Lord Weird has put in his hat in the ring, and so far he is the only Meatball the Professor member that has put his hat in the ring. So far he is gonna get the opportunity. Let's see. Let's see. Me eat dog. Yummy salt pepper. Don't eat dog unless you mean that you are going to embrace Doge, the Doge way. Let's see. Question for Josh. Hold on a second. I'm missing a couple of these. Mr. Mike, please do ask him about the heavy volume on XRT puts and why is that evidence for his narrative. It's counterintuitive because puts bet on the same direction of the movement as shorts. Thanks. Okay. If you guys had questions and sources as well, try and send those sources. No links are able to come through, so I would recommend jumping in maybe like using the dot, like spelled out in dot instead of .com. That will usually be okay. Let's see. Caution to the Wind says, what can we likely expect for the price action for the next 2+ weeks? Probability is not exact, more for you and more money than Josh. I hardly try to do price predictions because it's a lot of variables in the air and a lot of blame if you can't get the price directly on. So the risk reward, at least for me as a YouTuber, is terrible. Will Hart question, think Robinhood is going public to help pay for the debt that is I don't think so, but let's ask him. Let's see. Okay, Will, are they going to tank the shares to try and scare more off before the 19th, or should we expect gradual growth? I think that's a really good question that's gonna that everyone has on the back of their minds. Let's see. Could you ask him if he is a finance background? I think if you wanted to do more questions about his background, that's definitely something that he has probably talked about on his Reddit. 1C fighting, if it does go up really high, what's to stop the broker from canceling your transaction? Heard on a different channel that it happened last go around, and this wasn't just on Robinhood. This is true, so we're going to have to improvise. But that is a great question. There is nothing stopping Robinhood from doing that again. Let's see. Question for Josh. Can the hedge funds do short ladder attacks during the squeeze to keep the price down? I do want to know what Josh's opinion is about short ladder attacks. Do they exist? Are they being done by hedge funds? Let's see. Dominic's is here. The more hype you are setting up for the next week, the more money you will lose. Those are hyped up. Those are hyped up. Are those will quick to sell for a loss? This is the most important thing I have to say. As when Josh comes on, none of what he says is going to be financial advice. Nothing on this channel, anything that anyone says, even people in the comment section, even if they are joking about actually giving you financial advice, none of this is financial advice. Never get hyped up on a stock and then buy in and then feel like you were misled, because we are telling you now that this is just information, data that we are finding across the internet, trying to keep you informed, but it should not influence your decisions, right? Your choices on making investments are your own, and this disclaimer is now over. But is it ever truly over? Lucas Luage says, question, do I risk losing or not being able to sell my shares if the broker can lend out my shares? No, I can tell you that right now. If you have not yet turned off Robinhood or WeBull's ability to lend out your shares without your permission, go ahead and look up some previous live streams, but it's pretty easy. I'm working on the thing. Some of you have noticed that. Jansen Lee, one of the points mentions the high put OI on blue chips such as Apple, but when you look at the call OI, it's equally as high. Is the OI really significant? Well, that's a technical question. I'm going to save that to the end. I don't want to freak him out with that question, but thank you for the question. If you guys are just joining in, my name is Andrew. We're fielding questions from the live chat. I'm directly collecting live chat questions from the live chat that eventually Josh is going to take a shot at answering. Now, don't feel bad if he can't answer your question. He's answered every question so far yesterday on the live stream, and we don't want to psych him out with a hard question that's too hard or a question that is essentially too prospective, right? Reese Shope, what does Josh think the max cost to borrow additional shorts will reach before the cost becomes too much? It was around 12%, which I've heard costs billions per hour, but need to clarify. Okay, that's a pretty good question. Mate, what is the race kind of your dog? I'd like to have one just exactly like this. There's nothing quite like Meatball, but he is a half Corgi, half Golden mix, and he is the tallest Corgi at CorgiCon. Bram Baker says, everyone, let's like this stream to show how much appreciate this. Remember, when you like this, YouTube takes this video and says, hey, a couple of other apes might like this video too. And then they're going to take your profile and say, this person's profile looks a lot like this other person's profile, and then send it over to other apes. So every like is a support for the stream, and I do appreciate every single one of you liking that video and subscribing, because we are on the journey to 20K. And let me see if I can real-time look at my subscriber count so that I catch it if it happens. Currently, we are 360 subscribers away from 20,000. So we know. The Social Blade track subscriber count live. Social Blade. Okay, let me see. Andrew Mo Money. Wait, hold on. How do I do subscriber count live? Real time. Change users. Whose subscriber count would you like to view live? Andrew Mo Money. I have a B- on Social Blade. Why is that? Okay. Wow, all this data is free. Andrew Mo Money should reach 20,000 subs around tomorrow. Ooh, Social Blade even knows. Okay, so if you guys are just joining us, we are talking let me restrict my hyperbole. We are talking to Josh. He is a cool guy from Germany, and we are going to talk directly about what he has to say. We can even talk about his questions that he had. You know what? Actually, let me focus on your questions for him. Killian Ropeter says, question from a fellow German, where did he get all this knowledge from Wall Street and the stock market? What city in Germany is he from? I don't think, if he's comfortable with saying the city, I think a lot of you are going to get mad at me if he doxes himself on my account, so I'm not going to ask him that question. But let's see. I have a real question outside the box thinking, what happens if hedge funds are buying the calls and don't exercise them? Please. Well, Charlene, since you love this question so much, we have to ask it. Let's see. Mark Haynes says, ask him if in the future hedge funds will be much more conservative in their shorting, or does Josh think they will continue as is? That's a pretty speculative question. I'm gonna try to get out of speculative question zone, but like, if you work for a hedge fund, hit me up and let me know if you are gonna continue being this crazy in the future. Big Things Happen says, have multiple adaptable exit strategies. This is great. Niels van de Graaf, can you ask Josh if he believes the same thing he predicts for GME will happen to AMC? I know a lot of you have questions about AMC, so I definitely want to have at least one of those questions about AMC. Let's have that a little earlier, actually, so that AMC people are happy. Let's see. What's the dog's name? His name is Meatball. This is Professor Meatball. He's sleeping. He's liking it. Reese Shope, what does Josh think the max cost? I already asked this question. The Carbonista, good morning. Good afternoon, Professor Meatball and Amo. I said I would choose someone at this point. It's about 10 minutes before Josh shows up. So I'm going to go ahead and go to the post that I said if you wanted a chance to go talk to Josh, this is the post that you had to respond to. I often give out things in these posts or ask cool polls, and you guys can interact with your friends, the other fellow apes. So go ahead and make sure that you are constantly watching the Andrew Mo Money community tab as well. We have Drew, but he already gave up his position. We have Lord Weird. He is the only member that has said, I am not a cat. So Lord Weird, you are now going to be the person that gets the one-on-one with Josh. So let's get this going. I already have Lord Weird's email. So I'm going to send him this Zoom link. Congratulations. Wasn't so random. Normally these are more random than this. Let's see. I'm going to join the Zoom call myself, actually. Now that I'm here, I'm going to send it to Lord Weird. Lord Weird is also moderating, so this will be a great, this will be just a fantastic multitasking time for him. Okay. 1,900 of you, almost 2,000 of you ready to talk to Josh live. This is why I started live streaming 30 minutes early, because we want you guys to be hyped up for talking to Josh. And if you guys are from different walks of life, tell me in the chat, where are you from? Because we just got another 100 subscribers. We were 360 subscribers away from 20,000. We are now 260 away, and we are on the journey to 20,000 subscribers. You guys are really close, so make sure when you hit that subscribe button to also hit that bell button so you don't miss out on more live streams with celebrities just like Josh. Josh. If you guys want a quick update on who Josh is, we are looking at HeyItsPixel. Look at his cool little flared avatar there. He is the person making incredible, very comprehensive research-based DDs on GameStop. And here is one of them, his thoughts regarding his final DD. Here is one where he responds to people talking about his DD. And the biggest one, endgame DD right here. This is the one that we have. This is the mother lode of all DD. How all last week's actions come together for... Whoa, hold on. That's my conversation with Josh. How last week's actions all come together to one specific date, all data analyzed. Okay, so we are getting ready to talk to Josh very soon. The live stream is getting hype, continuing to get the hype up. I'm going to just make sure that everything looks good. This is looking good. We got questions here. We got questions. I'm going to spend 5 more minutes collecting questions, and Lord Weird, whenever you want to jump on the Zoom. Lord Weird was the winner of this week's one-on-one, which we have transformed into a one-on-one-on-one live in front of all of you. So let's check him out. Ori says, hey, Andrew, would love to talk to Josh. I'm German, too, because Josh is already here. Again, he is 5 minutes late. He is 5 minutes early, and we get to talk to him right now if he's feeling up to it. Otherwise, he could just chill because there's no pressure. Lord Weird, whenever you want to, go ahead and jump on that Zoom link I sent you in the Instagrams, and we should be good to go with our one-on-one-on-one. Now, maybe my volume is off. No, maybe I'm plugged in. Now I should be able to hear Josh. Hello, Josh. Oh, hello, Josh. I was muted, but now Josh is connecting to audio. Perfect. We got Daniel Green. What if an investor such as Fidelity called a shareholders meeting that would force recall all shares due to their individual stake? Right. That's a good question.
And I'm there. Hello.
Whoa! Is that Elon Musk?
I've read that so many times, and I don't know why people keep saying it.
I started corroborating the story that you are Elon Musk.
Especially when I started talking about Tesla yesterday.
Yes.
People were getting pretty suspicious.
Well, Elon, thank you so much for coming on the show. No, I'm just joking. This is Josh. He is also known as the user HeyItsPixel on the interwebs. He has created a great amount of DD about GameStop, and we are here talking to him, keeping it light though, because we promised you we're going to be here in about 5 minutes. So do you want to just jam for 5 minutes and talk about how's your day going, Josh?
Yeah, sure. Let's do it. So basically, it's been going. I don't know where to start. First of all, I want to say thank you for all the people that have been sending me like really nice messages. I've been receiving tons and tons. I think about 2 to 3,000 private messages or chat requests on Reddit, and about 5,000 private messages. So I can barely keep up with reading them and not even answering them. So I just wanted to say thank you. I'm trying to read every single one, but it's just too much. Obviously, because if you get like 10,000 in total, it's pretty rough. But for all the people in the comments, especially on this live stream, just want to say thank you for welcoming me so warm yesterday. As you can hear, I'm still pretty nervous right now, but I'm trying to do my best. Just wanted to add a quick disclaimer. If I stutter too much, if some thoughts get lost in translation, sometimes I distract myself because I jump from one conclusion to another. So I just wanted to add this disclaimer. If I stutter too much, please don't hate me. I'm trying to answer every single question, if possible, even the in-depth questions. And I'm also willing to do some speculations, but obviously it's not DD. Speculation is purely just my own personal thoughts, no investment advice. So you shouldn't do anything based off just this prediction I'm going to make or speculation I'm going to make if I answer any speculative questions. Yeah, that's it.
I 100% agree. I already made a disclaimer that none of this channel's content is financial advice, and everything out of Josh's mouth should not be used to go back and say, you said this specifically, because the man is a human mortal just like the rest of us. Give him some slack, especially since he has been so generous with his time, not only doing the research, but also making time to come on this show, not once, but twice. This is amazing.
That is correct. And that is also going to be my last time because, as I said, I promised my wife, who's watching again with my wife's boyfriend, shout out to both of them. And I promised to have some more time with her. So, yeah, after this live stream, we're actually going to watch a movie. And I'm going to back off of all the GME stuff for a couple of weeks. I'm going to watch the chart, obviously, every single day. But I'm not going to post anymore. I'm not going to answer questions. Because, as I said, I have a private life. I need to catch up on a lot of stuff at work because I skipped a lot of stuff to make those research DDs, etc. So, yeah, next week is going to be interesting at work, but I've got a lot of stuff to do. So,
this is amazing. I'm going to put the last interview with Josh. This is incredible. So then let's start off with some pretty fun questions. We have a fun question from a couple of days ago. Actually, no, sorry. You only came from yesterday, so this is from yesterday. Let me jump in and put this here. Also, I want to introduce Lord Weird. Lord Weird is a moderator on my channel, but he was also the only tier 2 member that commented on my community post, which means randomly, out of a population of 1, he has won the chance to have a one-on-one with all 3 of us together. So, Lord Weird, how's it going?
It's going good, man. Pretty stoked to be joining you guys. Also, yeah, as you said, multitasking as well.
He is multitasking. He's also moderating the live chat. So thank you, Lord Weird. Lord Weird, I'm going to give you 5 for me, which is 5 for the people asking questions already, and then 1 for you. So you can ask any question you want after I ask 5 of the apes questions. Josh, we're going to keep it light first. The first question I have here is from Crewman Monster Nom Nom Nom. According to his research, you are a former Counter-Strike pro. Seems like it's not the first time people think that you sound like Musk. Is this true?
That is correct, yeah.
You are a Counter-Strike pro.
Yeah, but not in the professional, in the sense of I was playing on stage in huge live streams. I was basically just a semi-pro. Like I was a small lance nationally and not playing internationally. So it was at a pro level because I was getting paid, but it's not as big as it reads if you read it there.
That's awesome. Well, that's my very first question. I'm glad we got it. See, Vlad, take some notes. You can say yes or no to questions.
Yeah, when I was a boy in Bulgaria.
When I was a boy in Bulgaria, I was a Counter-Strike pro. Next question. Mark Anthony, super chat from Mark. Thank you for that. Do you think the potential gamma squeeze on Monday could trigger a short squeeze early? And also, long live Meatball. And also, are you personally invested? Feel free to ignore any part of that question that you feel like is too personal.
Yes. Wait, I'm waiting for the live stream to update to read the question again. I think it's delayed quite a bit.
Possibly. But
yeah, okay, there it is.
Okay.
Do you think the potential squeeze? I actually think not, no. Because in the coming weeks, after next week's, that's where a lot of catalysts start coming together. That's why my first prediction date for the short squeeze was March 15th. I think the price could go up quite a bit before that, but I don't think, that's a speculation, it's going to hit 4-digit numbers before that. Simply being because hedge funds just naked short a lot of shorts, a lot of shares again. So they're obviously doing it to try to get some more time, and it was just not getting a few more days. I think they wanted to get about 1 or 2 more weeks. So I actually don't think it's going to happen next week. I think if we see a huge rise in price, it's probably because of delta call hedging. We can get into that a bit later as well. But I think the short squeeze is going to happen by next week. Yeah.
Roger that. Okay. Niels Van, so that's 2 questions from me, right? So this is the 3rd question. Niels Van de Graaf, can you ask Josh if you believe the same that you predict for GME will also happen to AMC?
I'm actually not. I'm probably going to let down a lot of people by this, but I haven't read anything about AMC whatsoever. I think it's an American thing, maybe,
Yes.
because I'm from Germany. I have no connection to AMC. I've read a lot of stuff that people have a lot of memories for AMC, so it's the same with GameStop for me. Here in Germany, we have a lot of GameStop stores, and 2 are close by to my home. So I went there a lot of times. So it was a bit of personal thing at first when I read about GME back in the days. I can get back to that later. But I'm not invested into AMC whatsoever. So yeah, I read about GME for the first time in, I think 4 or 5 months ago, was it? I saw some videos from Roaring Kitty, we all know and love him. So yeah, I've been invested into GME since half a year almost.
Awesome. Well, then, big tendies on you. And I think you didn't disappoint too many people, because you would have been, if you did say GME is not going to moon and all the other things, then people would have been mad. But so far, he does not have an opinion on AMC, so there you go.
Yeah, that is correct. I'm not saying AMC is not going to moon, simply because, as you said, I didn't do any research on it. I just saw people talking about it as much as GME, and I think it's the same situation behind the scenes. I'm not too sure, but I think people were saying it's overshot as well. But that's not the only factor. It was shorted at a really low share price because of Corona. A lot of cinemas got closed, so the share price dropped because they didn't have any revenue anymore. So people thought that cinemas were going to go bankrupt. So same with GameStop, they overshorted AMC because they didn't think it would recover from all this, but it obviously did. But I don't know what the outcome of this is going to be, because I'm not invested into AMC at all.
As a consolation prize, I will have an update on AMC that I recorded earlier in the weekday that I'm going to release today, if you guys are looking for AMC information. Michael Wen says, "Hi Josh, I see an extremely high put call contracts for SPY expire on Monday. Any thoughts?"
I'm going to have to look into that really quick.
And of course, any of these things that require extra research, you can just be like, no thoughts yet because I haven't looked into it.
Okay, then I'm going to pass on this one yet, but I want to answer that at the end of the stream, because that is actually, you can objectively answer that question, because extremely high could be for you 10 call options, or contracts rather. But for me, it could be like 100,000, just because I'm used to more volume. So I don't know, you should have put a number there, so I could answer that question.
Yes. In the future, appreciate the super, Michael, but make sure to also give us a little more context. For those of you who are just joining, 2,600 of you watching, Josh, also known as HeyItsPixel, the user on Reddit that has been making great waves in the DD for GME. We have another, I've already asked 5 questions. Go ahead, Lord Weird. What kind of question do you have for Josh?
I was kind of curious, man. What do you kind of think will the knock-on effect of your DD be? Because I know you mentioned in that post you're talking about how they can't really wiggle out of this one, but surely with you making that post and making a splash, they could have some response. So I guess what do you expect their response to be to the actual effect of your DD if posted?
That is actually a good question, and also I'm going to have to speculate on this one, obviously.
Yeah.
Because in my DD, as I stated, I think there's just too many catalysts coming together. I didn't even mention all of the catalysts happening within the next few weeks. So that's why I thought maybe if I released the date or the data I collected, they're going to have a way to wiggle out of this, because people are going to get hyped again, maybe fear out if it doesn't happen around that date. But when I researched, I found out that retail has a lot of shares, but we don't have as much influence on this as people think. It's actually hedge funds against hedge funds, or maybe institution against hedge funds, who knows? We don't know who Citadel and friends are fighting against. It's not only retail, there's a lot of institution invested in this as well that are speculating on a big outcome. And obviously, one of my theses was, if it's hedge funds against hedge funds, we could have a big battle between hedge funds, which is a huge win-win situation for the opposing side against Citadel and Melvin, obviously. Because if they are able to start the short squeeze now, it looks like there's massive increase in trading volume within the past few weeks. There's been massive increase in call options. There's been just so many things coming together, showing that it's probably another hedge fund hedging for a short squeeze right now, or trying to make it happen rather. So if they take out Melvin, maybe even Citadel, but Citadel is hard to take out. The highest number I found was they have 235 billion in assets, and Melvin at this time should have around 6 to 8 billion. So it's much easier to take them out. If they are able to take hedge funds out, they will obviously going to gain their customers. There's a huge chance for hedge funds to make billions, destroy opposing hedge funds, and gain more customers. So it's just a big win-win situation for them if they start the short squeeze, and therefore take out people that have massively overshorted GameStop. Because as I said, they've done a lot of illegal stuff. If that all comes to light, obviously Citadel is not going to be anymore. Or maybe with new regulations put into place, it's going to be much harder in the future. So we'll see what happens. But in my opinion, there's no way out for them now, because there's just too many catalysts. And for me, it looks like we have huge opposing sides to Citadel, Melvin, and whoever overshorted GameStop. So I think sharks just smell blood at this time. So they're going to want to take out those hedge funds that overshorted.
That's a great answer, and there's a good question
Great
too.
answer, yeah.
It's like Schrodinger's cat, and I am not a cat. What will the hedge funds react to the DD that that not only Josh put out, but I am now spreading across the universe? If you guys are just here, almost 3,000 of you. Bruce Wayne was just in the building. I hope he's still here. Give him some love, you guys. He is a also awesome financial YouTuber as well. If you guys are aware of what's happening, good. But those who aren't, Josh is having his last interview. He is the DD author of the Endgame GME scenarios. He is also the one that has indicated that March 19th is the date to watch when it comes to all of these other pieces of evidence. And we are going to answer all of your questions, hopefully one at a time. And then one final push is that we are 216 subscribers away from pushing me over to 20,000 subscribers. If you guys like this content, if you guys want to see more celebrity interviews, then I recommend smashing that subscribe button as well as the bell button. Lord Weird, I'm going to have 5 more questions, and then he, as a member that won the chance to have this one-on-one with Josh and me, will get to ask another question. Nimbus Nguyen asks, what are the odds that the hedges are helping pump the stock, are actually allies to Citadel?
Close to zero, I would say, because obviously the more the price rises, we saw aggressive naked shorting which I stated, I speculated it was Citadel and Melvin shorting the stock again to keep the price low. So by pumping the stock, there's just no possible way they're allies, because pumping the stock costs a lot of money in borrowing fees for shorting, for naked shorting. Basically, the higher the price goes, Citadel and Melvin, etc., they're losing a lot of money. So allies wouldn't do any kind of action that would lose their allies money, but wouldn't gain the money. So the more the price rises, the more money Citadel, Melvin, etc. lose, but they are not gaining anything from it. So the chances are always not zero, but in this case, they're close to zero.
Awesome. A very clear answer. Once again, Vlad, take some notes on yes or no answers. Dominic's coming in hot and heavy. Institutions bought at $40 could sell at $200. The price would drop down to $60, and then they would buy again. They make money while we keep holding for nothing. I guess this wasn't a question, but thank you for the super chat, Dominic's. Anyway, moving down to Matthew. Question for you and the general. If the apes hold, will the short sellers drive the price of GME down to where we saw it on Tuesday?
I don't think so. I think we found a solid bottom around the 100 mark right now. As I said, the next few weeks are going to be interesting. If I saw some DD on delta hedging right now, that stated that around 16 or 17 million shares, was it, are going to get bought next week, because market makers wrote naked call options. Just to explain a bit on naked call options. Basically, when you are a market maker and you write call options, when you sell this call option, you basically already buy the shares that are bound to this call option. So if someone buys the call option, it becomes in the money. They have the option to exercise this call option. That means when they exercise, they're going to receive the stocks, the underlying stock of this call option. But in this case, it's only a theory right now, because, as I said, all the data available there's no possible way for call option writers right now to actually be able to buy real GME shares, because that would drive the price up to crazy heights if they would buy, or would have already bought, 17 million shares to give out with their options right now. So my hypothesis is that they wrote naked call options. They don't have the stock yet, but if the options are going to get exercised, we are going to see a huge amount of delta hedging. That is going to drive up the price to crazy amounts, maybe within the next few days, but that's highly speculative. So if 17 million shares get bought at the same time, it's obviously, we are going to see it. So yeah, that is just the theory on it right now.
Awesome. That's 2 out of 5 questions for me. Nimbus is back at it again, but this is a question that a lot of people have been asking. I've already answered that history repeats itself. There's nothing as of right now in terms of laws that would prevent this from happening, but clearinghouses restricted buying last GME rally. What's to stop them from doing it again when it reaches similar levels as the last stop?
Obviously, we have a lot of congressional hearings set into place already. I think it's around 3 to 5, was it? The chairwoman stated. So if it happens again, we saw it happen once, and there's already 5 hearings set into place to investigate all of this. So if they would do it again without a proper reason, because they didn't have a reason last time, you could hear a lot of congressmen and women were really upset with this, and they felt like retail got, I can't find any nice words, but they got effed. So they put the hearings into place to investigate all this. So I think what's stopping them is politics right now. So if they do it again, not only is there going to be obviously another investigation, but that will basically just confirm what right now is just a theory, that there are people that are really influential, have huge amounts of money, are taking influence on the free market that the US should have. So they're not just going to let that slip for a second time. The first one is being investigated right now, but if it happens for a second time, it's not going to be a theory, but it's confirmed that someone is manipulating the market, in fact, to harm retail.
That's a really good answer. I'm going to remember that from next on. And were you the one in the DD that said it's just a theory, a GameStop theory?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm glad I met the person that actually wrote that. We got Joseph Hubert says, when will the stocks need to be purchased by market makers after options expiry? T-3 or T+3? Is it possible that they already bought the hedges?
Wait, let me wait for the live stream again to update. That's what I meant, by the way, at the start. Sometimes something gets lost in translation, and I had my own thoughts on the last question still. So right now I have to read the question again in order to
Sure, take your time.
answer it.
If those 3,000 of you that are here, we are talking to Josh, his last interview, because he's going to have a nice time with his wife, his wife's boyfriend, and his puppy, of which I'm all going to ask him about at the end of this interview, especially what's your wife's boyfriend's name? I think that's going to be the question. None of you should leave this stream because we're going to answer all those questions and more. Go ahead whenever you're ready, Josh.
Okay. Yeah, I just read the question. Basically, as I said, when the options are sold, they already need to have the shares available. If not available, I don't have the date set in my head right now, but I think it's 3 days until they have to deliver them. So don't nail me down on that. It's again a speculation, but I think it's 3 days. If we see the large amount of calls that got put into money last week, that's why I said delta hedging next week. They're going to have to buy a lot of shares because, as I said, they're just so rare, highly demanded, but no supply at the moment. And that's what's creating this huge price issue. So they're going to have to buy next week at any price because otherwise they're going to have failed to deliver and are basically exposed that they wrote naked call options, which is illegal if you are not able to deliver them within time. I actually saw one post, I think, on Reddit, it was, by Ameritrade, which is a broker. And they actually hindered that person to exercise their call option. So I think we can already see a huge gap in supply and demand with the call options that became in the money. If people wanted to exercise, they are getting error messages that simply, error occurred, we can't do that at the time, but they're getting it for hours. So there shouldn't be any error. So obviously brokers are hindering people right now to exercise their options, which is illegal. So if that happens to you, you should contact the SEC or your congressperson, whoever it is that can help you with this in the US.
That's a great PSA as well. I have someone who has their mom's birthday. She is Wilma Dickfit. Mrs. Dickfit, please have a wonderful birthday. Why is everyone laughing? This is just a woman having a birthday. Alan Prescott, this is my last question before Lord Weird gets one. Quick 2-part volume question. What was the volume of tears hedge funds shed with it closed above 100 on Friday? And what did those tears taste like?
I need to wait for the question again because I almost choked.
Sure.
Yeah, but happy birthday to Wilma Dickfit.
Yes.
I hope she's well up.
I do. I hope she's turning a big old 60, 69, or...
Okay, good. I'm reading the question now. Quick 2-part volume question. What was the volume of tears hedge funds shed in close to Friday? What did those tears taste like? I actually didn't taste them, but I can imagine that they were pretty salty and probably about 200 to 300 liters, if I would have to speculate on that one again.
That's a great answer. You heard it here. Hedge funds are salty. Thoughts on 100K? You can also skip this one.
No, I want to answer it, but you have to be really careful with it because that's another thing I noticed when it comes to GameStop and AMC. It's become personal for people. When you invest, you should never be emotional. Every single good analyst in the investment business actually is talking about that right now. Investment has become so emotional, attached to people that it's just so hard to make good analyze to analyze the situation properly, to give out good analysis, because one factor that changes your emotions as a person is changing the market. That usually when it comes to investment, you invest because you are awaiting a return. And what's happening with GameStop right now, people got really upset with my DD when I really release it, because they thought, oh no, now he set the date, hedges are gonna weasel out of this one again. F this guy. As I mentioned earlier, I got death threats for predictions that I even disclaimed as only predictions, my personal thoughts, with no DD behind them. It's become highly emotional right now. So it's I don't even. Sorry, I lost the question. What was the question again?
Thoughts on 100K?
Oh yeah. So it's really hard to answer that without upsetting people. If I say it's not gonna hit 100K, people are gonna be upset. If I say it's gonna hit more than 100K, people will call me, oh, is this guy even down to earth? Is he out of his mind? Is he high? So my personal prediction is, if, as I said, retail holds through this, it's not only retail, but hedge funds as well. I think hedge funds have already set their limit, where they're going to jump off the ship. Also, a lot of ETFs, especially BlackRock, Vanguard, are holding GameStop off their portfolios. They're going to make huge gains, and they can just disguise it as a safety for the customers. Because if they say, let's say the stock became way too volatile for a safe investment, such an ETF is the safest way of an investment. It's the best form of passive investing, in my opinion. So if it creates a risk, because GameStop is such a manipulated, highly speculative, volatile security, and they decide to kick it out of their ETF, let's say all on a single day, they could actually destroy all of the plans people made. They could drop the price by themselves. If, let's say, 3 ETFs alone hold over 15 million shares of GME, if they decide to drop them all at once, it would actually, I think, become impossible for the 100K to happen. But if we all pull through this, if everyone holds, it's actually possible, yeah. But for that, we would have to know how many shares are in circulation and who holds them. But that's impossible at the moment, because a lot of the trading happens in dark pools, which is not trackable for normal people, like people listening right now and me. But I actually found an interesting chart today that stated that institutional ownership for GameStop is at 112% at the moment. And mutual fund ownership is actually at almost 4,000% according to that chart. I can share it in the live stream as well if people want to read it themselves, because that number is just so huge.
Yeah.
Am I allowed to post links?
No one's allowed to post links, but you can put it in this Google Doc that we are looking at right now. It is time for Lord Weird. He is not only the moderator for the live stream right now, but he is also on the Zoom call because he won the one-on-one that I give out weekly to my Tier 2 members. It's because he pressed that join button next to the subscribe button, but we only have about 10 minutes left of Josh. So please, Lord Weird, ask a question.
Cool. Yeah, last one was kind of just something I've seen pop up on Reddit a few times, and it's kind of a smooth brain question, so possibly. It's about if GME moons to like crazy heights, like without any government intervention or whatever. What happens if the price kind of goes high enough to wipe out Melvin and friends? What's the kind of knock-on effect on the market, do you think?
It's actually, as I said, hard to predict because we don't know the actual short interest. We don't know how much shorts were open last week, or how many shorts were open last week, because everything we have at the moment is short volume. And from short volume, you can't really see how many shorts were opened. But you can calculate by, if you analyze the short volume itself. People were saying it's volume, it's not interest, this cannot be accurate. But to close short position, they need to borrow, sell, and then buy stock. So therefore, they would drive the price up, not down. What we saw last week when I talked about the 18 million short attack, that was actually something really interesting because volume was 18 million in the sells alone. So that means they opened 18 million new short positions that second. So there were no shares to borrow. They didn't close their positions yet, but depending on the open interest, on the open volume we have, all the data presented, it could go to crazy heights and wipe out hedge funds completely.
Great question and answer again. We have 166 subscribers before we hit that 20,000 milestone. Thank you, Josh, for being here answering these questions. We got to get through a couple more questions. We got Dominic's here. Institutions like BlackRock bought GME at $40. Let's say they sell 6 million shares. The price of GME could drop to $60 and buy back in again. The short will be delayed. Big funds make money. We are on the sidelines. Thoughts on that?
Not possible because, as I said, Vanguard and BlackRock are ETFs. So what they are doing is they have set rebalance dates, such as XRT at March 19th, coincidentally. And when rebalance dates happen, they are gonna throw out the securities that they think underperform or are just too dangerous for the ETF. If there's any immediate danger, they have set dates to throw out stocks within a certain period of time. So they're not able to just because they have a lot of investors. BlackRock and Vanguard are some of the biggest hedge funds out there in the whole world. They're not just going to sell shares, drive down the price of their ETFs because they're not day traders. It's an ETF. Shares stay, shares go, but it's set dates. They're not just going to sell and buy back in. So.
That's a great question too. And Dominic's, thank you for the super. Let's look at Nimbus says, Josh, please say Tesla.
Tesla.
There we go. Corey, wish a happy birthday to my Harry. I think this one's a joke, actually. All things Jade. What impact will the hearings to examine the nominations of Gary Gensler of Maryland to be a member of the Securities and Exchange Commissions and Rohit Chopra? This is probably a little too specific. If you don't know things about American politics, you can just skip this one.
I know some things about American politics, unlike Americans about our politics, but no, just kidding. It's too specific, actually. No, I don't know the person, and I don't know how the SEC or behind the scene how politics work specifically in the US. So I can comment on that.
Well, thank you, All Things Jade, for the super. The last hot sauce says, why March 19th? Couldn't hedge fund ladder attack or just not cover shares? You covered this in your DD, but just generally, what would you say to people asking about that question?
Let me find that. I actually think short ladder attacks are not a thing. They just don't work. What people are seeing are either short attacks, sell-offs, like there are sell walls and short attacks. Difference being, if there is a sell wall, the hedge fund setting up the sell wall already has the shares. So they are selling a certain amount of shares when the security reaches that price. So let's say if the security reaches $200, they're setting up a sell wall with the amount of 1 million shares. And let's say the total volume that day was 2 million, that would get the price down by insane amounts because people think, oh, it hit 200. A lot of people are selling, but it's actually hedge fund setting up a sell wall. There's also, as I mentioned, short attacks. That's basically just aggressive amounts of shorting within a short period of time. That's why it's called an attack, because it's aggressive. It's not just shorting, but they're doing it aggressively to keep the price down artificially.
That's a great answer. And here to hear, he does not believe that short ladder attacks are a thing. This also answers the questions of OK Will and the Spiz. So a lot of people are asking questions about short ladder attacks and what hedge funds can do. If you can answer this question, then I'll bring it back to the Lord Weird. Hero to Hero says, ask Josh who he wants to play him in the movie.
That's a great question. I mean, I'm ugly as hell, so I'd go with Steve Buscemi.
You want Steve Buscemi to play you in the movie? Do you think you look like Steve Buscemi?
No. I'm kidding.
I don't know what you look like. I just assumed you had a beard.
Yeah, I thought about doing a face reveal today, but as I said, I don't have a webcam, so that would require insane amount of works to turn on my phone and turn on the camera. So
yes.
I'm still thinking about it.
Well, I'm glad that you are protecting your identity as well.
To answer that question, I would like to get played by Keanu Reeves, but I think he's going for deep effing value, you know what? Because they look the same. So if Keanu shakes, it's actually DFV in the same room.
That's funny because
Maybe
I
Nick
also am
Cage.
going for DFV. So unfortunately, I think Keanu's gonna have to play like every one of us in the movie. Uh, Lord Weird, you get the floor. Ask a question.
I was just gonna say maybe Nick Cage. Somebody's got to pick him up.
Someone's gotta pick Nick Cage. Who's it gonna be?
Christian,
so-
I would actually take Christian Bale. I'm not gonna lie. I like his look and his role in American Psycho. I don't want to say I look like him in that role, but in some way.
Look, I actually didn't have another question for you because it was kind of covered by one of our super chats there, Eduardo Alves.
Oh, nice. I'll put it up. There we go.
If you've got a better speaking voice than me, Andrew, if you wanna take that one.
I doubt it. I like Lord Weird's voice, but I will ask it. Hedge funds might be relying on making the squeeze so big that they don't plan on covering, taking profits on the up and down. Then they will call their SEC friends just their smooth brain theory. What do you think about that, Josh?
I actually think it's not possible because if you they borrowed the shares on margin, which means if they get margin calls by the banks from the banks. They will actually have to buy back the shares. So they are not, as you may think, they don't own the shares, they are borrowed. So if they get margin call, they actually have to close their positions. They're forced to close them. They don't have a free will in this. So they can't just be like your average day trader. Yeah, I'm going to sell, I'm going to buy back in, I'm going to sell, I'm going to buy back in, etc. It's my thought process is just not possible because of the securities being borrowed and not their own.
I think that's a great question. I think that you have covered a lot of the fears that people have. Are short ladder attacks a thing? Can they actually just not plan on covering at all? And all these other specifically politics-driven policy questions. We are running out of time, and I want you to have a nice long break. So I have two questions for you. I'm holding the largest Stein glass that I possibly have. What is your favorite beer?
I actually don't drink any alcohol whatsoever.
Interesting.
So
How does it
gonna
feel?
have to pass it on.
How does it feel to live in Germany? What do you do when you go to a pub?
I never go to pubs out either. So people actually maybe think I look like Stephen Buscemi in real life now. But no, I'm actually just, I'm not even introverted. I like talking to people. But I just like doing stuff at home or going for a ride on my bike that I don't have at the moment, sadly. I also bought a dog and I like to go for like long rides in cars. So yeah, I always do stuff where I can be on my own, have my own thoughts, and I just don't like loud places and everything. So I never go to parties. I always get invited, but I always pass. So yeah, weird flex, but
Weird flex, but cool flex. Do you like board games? I have board game nights every week. I think it would be cool for you to come on and have some fun, small party. If you do like board games, we can play some Jackbox or Scribble. I do want to ask you about your dog. What is the dog's name? Where did you rescue it from? And what kind of dog is it?
it's a Shiba Inu. It's my most preferred type of dog.
Oh, man.
So I looked at shelters, but obviously no shelter has them available because if a shelter, at least in Germany, if they have them available, they're gone within seconds. So I already tried to rescue them, but they're just not able to be rescued because they're always gone within seconds. So I went to a professional, what do you call them? People that get dogs for and make money with it primarily.
A
In
breeder.
Germany, we call them Züchter.
A breeder.
Yeah, breeder, right. No, thank you. A breeder, right. So I just contacted a breeder, found out he had a black and tan Shiba Inu. That was my favorite tan for the Shiba. So I already paid him in advance because I was so hyped. 2 hours after the dog was born. His name is, by the way, Akihiro, which means bright prince in Japanese. Yeah, that's the story how I got my dog. It's not here yet, by the way. It's 4 weeks old, and I'm gonna pick it up in 4 more weeks because it has to stay with his mother for 4 more weeks.
If you guys are unaware, Shiba Inu is the Doge dog. So you have officially a Doge, Akihiro. I cannot wait to see pictures of him. I think our friendship is going to blossom even after you finish this interview.
I hope so. You're a good dog lover as well. I saw you care for your dog so well. I really like WeBull.
Meatball, you hear that?
He's just so calm. I hope my one is gonna be as calm as he is. So yeah.
Oh, Meatball has a cousin. He's just spiritual brothers with Akihiro now. You guys heard it here first and last. This is Josh's final interview. He's covered incredible questions such as AMC versus GME. He's covered short ladder attacks. He's covered what policymakers will do. He's covered what the hedge funds and unknown institutions will do. Lord Weird was the member that won the opportunity to come on a one-on-one-on-one. Lord Weird, any last-minute questions for Josh?
No, just please make sure you take your well-deserved rest and maybe stay away from Reddit if you need to.
Yes.
Yeah, I definitely need to, at least for a few weeks. Apart from that,
And that was the end of the interview. It's because I don't pay for Zoom Premium, but it was the time that Josh had to leave anyway. If you guys had any more questions for Josh, that's too bad. We had seen the very last interview with Josh that he was willing to do now that he has a puppy and his wife's boyfriend. That was the end of it. If you guys had been watching this entire time and still haven't seen his DD, I'm going to walk through it real briefly right now and make sure we do our deference to it, give it the respect it deserves. And for all of the likes that you guys have been giving, I'm going to give Meatball 3 treats right now. Thank you guys again for jumping on this second and last interview that Josh, user HeyItsPixel, is ever going to do. Meatball, I don't have your food bowl, so I'm just going to use my hand. Here's one. Oh, it's so slobbery. Here's 2. It's leaving a trail of slobber. And there's 3. All right. So, if you guys are here, it's because you are smart monkey apes. You guys have very wrinkly brains, and it's because you guys have already smashed that subscribe button and that bell button. We just saw Josh come in and give his last interview. Meatball yawning away. We have 114 subs away from 20,000, and beyond that, who knows, the moon? If you guys are supporters of the show, if you guys like that interview and want to see more, never want to miss out on another live stream, go ahead and smash that subscribe button. Do it for yourselves. Invest in you and smash that bell button too. Look at you, learning about investments and the markets on a Sunday. I wish I was you back when I had that opportunity. But here is that endgame DD once again, going to cover only the most important parts. Josh was the one that wrote this DD it says 2 hours ago, but really that was a day ago, and we saw that together. How last week's actions all come together to one specific date, all the data analyzed. This is the DD that gets Josh, where Josh tells us exactly which date we are looking at for the potential squeeze, which is March 19th. Okay. We want to be able to read the most important part of this disclaimer, which is, if it doesn't happen on this date, don't worry. The date is nothing more than an indication of where we believe the data has led us to. It is by no means meant to be used as a prediction. It is merely what we believe. With all the publicly available data, it is one of the most likely indications of date. As always, invest responsibly. Do not put money in that you cannot afford to lose. Do your own research and cross-reference everything and anything here. If you believe the data is wrong or the conclusion is incorrect, please post it, or by having a public discourse, we can get new ideas and have a fresh look at this. As of right now, HeyItsPixel, or otherwise known as Josh, the Shiba Inu loving man, is no longer going to be on Reddit answering these questions from now on. The rabbit hole part 1 is important to know. Why did GME get on the short sale restrictions list? This is the most important part of this rabbit hole part 1. Just understanding that the date of 23rd February, GME opened at this specific price. It reached its day high, and then it reached its day low within 20 minutes. And so, suspicious already, but that was exactly enough for these shares to drop GME on the SSR list. Now, that doesn't mean that you cannot, that doesn't mean like it's restricted entirely. It just means that buying back the shares to cover the position. He's trying to talk about exactly why it was dropped on the SSR list. Conclusion, someone got the price down by 10% within a couple of minutes, but the same someone got it instantly back up after that, making it seem as if their sole goal was to get GME on the SSR list the next day and trying to avoid a panic sell-off by dropping the price too low. And that is really important now. This proves that there are multiple parties in here with multiple stakes to lose. Rabbit hole part 2, as they stated in their post on the 24th, this was the day that we got huge. He was talking about how right before after hours there was going to be a price that would start the call chain, and that was a lot of theory that caused a true fact to happen. Too long didn't read hedgies versus unknown institutions. UI set everything up for a gamma squeeze and need the price to close above $50. Hedge funds know and don't want that to happen and keep shorting the poop out of GME to keep it below $50. Both sides. This is two different large institutions waiting for the other to do something. Battle will start shortly before market close, and it did. If you guys were there for my hyped up hedge live stream, that was insane. Oh, Josh says he actually wanted to answer more questions? Really now? I want to have Josh answer more questions. Let us see if we can get Josh back up here. Those of you who left early, you're gonna feel bad. So I'm gonna start a new meeting. I'm gonna see if we can get Josh right back in here. He said he only had 30 minutes, so I'm surprised he wants to talk more. We could also get Lord Weird back on here. I do have so many more questions for Josh. Let's see. Oh, is he back? Oh boy. Is this just Lord Weird? Who is this? Josh. Hey, Josh.
Hey, I got kicked out of the call. I don't know why. I never use Zoom, but
Oh, it's because I don't pay for the premium version, and I thought our time was already up because you said you only had 30 minutes. But if you wanted to talk more,
that is great.
Okay, good. You changed your name because you said your full name for a second. Let me.
That's actually just my second name. So.
Oh, good. Let me pin you. Let me put you back where you belong. Over here.
So yeah, if I was gone abruptly to anyone, the call ended because I wanted to do Q&A for 30 minutes, but I'm down for, let's say, 10 to 15 more minutes because I was just getting into it. And I actually got really comfortable talking to you guys. My nervousness was gone. And as I said, I'm going to be gone for a couple of weeks, so I can add those 15 minutes of my time.
Okay, I'm gonna put on the chat on the live. I'm gonna put at the title. He's back. We are back. You guys that stayed on. Look at that. You guys stayed on, and Josh is back. It's a rewards for everyone. Lord Weird is welcome to come jump back on. I sent you the link. Let us keep looking. So we had Eduardo's question. We also want to look at, if you know another YouTuber called Uncle Bruce, he has a thought that hedge funds will buy calls at double the quantity they need to cover. What makes us think that they won't sell off cheap?
Wait, I'm looking for the question right now. In the Google Sheet, is it at the bottom or towards the top?
It is like right below Eduardo's question. Yeah, there it is.
Ah, there it is. Okay. I actually think that's not going to be possible because if they buy call options, it's going to make the price rise because, as I just said, if you buy a call option, market makers are going to have to buy the shares attached to those call options. So this is going to drive the price up. It's not what the hedge funds want. I'm not into that theory that much. Maybe I miss some important part that would change all this. But if they would hedge against their destruction by buying call options, it wouldn't make sense because by buying those options, they would actually drive up the price themselves. So in my book, it doesn't make sense. But as I said, maybe I missed something.
Gotcha. We got another question about AMC. I know you haven't done a ton of research into it, but this is pretty suspicious. Maybe just objectively, what do you think? AMC and GME have paralleled each other for a long time, but it seems AMC is 1/10 to a 7th of GME's size. Well, at the very least, I think they're talking about AMC is a 10th to the 7th of GME's price. What do you think about that?
I saw that as well. For a couple of weeks, actually, the prices were not the prices. The charts were always the same, not in every single little detail. But overall, there was a theory that a lot of people holding GME are also holding AMC. But I don't think that they would day trade at the same time. So if they would sell, they wouldn't sell GameStop and AMC at the same time and buy back in over the course of a few weeks. But because both of the charts actually mirrored for a couple of weeks, then it stopped, I think, like 2 weeks ago. And 1 week ago, they started to mirror again. So I don't know why. I don't know where it's coming from. There has to be a reason behind that, but I don't know. So I don't have any speculation to it why it's doing it, but it's obviously for some reason doing it.
Gotcha. Lord Weird says, not sure how much computer time my wife's boyfriend is going to give me. Hang in there, Lord Weird. Lord Weird, let's have you jump in. Do you have a question for Josh?
No, actually, I'm good for now. If you want to carry on.
Nice.
It's good to have you back, though.
Thank you for coming back.
Yeah, same. I thought you guys kicked me out. Just like my wife is going to do.
We got tired of
adding
you,
15 more minutes.
We're like, forget about Josh. Let's just talk to you and me. Mr. Mike says, question regarding section 4 of your DD, volume on XRT puts, wouldn't it make more sense if the heavy volume were calls on XRT rather than puts?
I actually, this is going to be long. I already made some notes to it because I thought the same to myself after reading my DD for like the 5th time. So I'm just going to read off my notes if that's okay for a second.
Sure.
It's going to be a bit scrambled, but yeah. ETFs need to be rebalanced and reconstituted because some companies no longer fit with the rules or guidelines of the ETF. I already talked about that, I think 20 minutes ago. This is called rebalance date. This for XRT, it's March 19th, so it's in, I don't know, 20 days, something like that. Yeah, anyways, other stocks that are not in the ETF will meet the criteria for inclusion and for replacing, but XRT may throw out GME because it doesn't fit into the ETF anymore. Therefore, the puts, because GME makes up 10% of the portfolio. If you look at the chart of XRT and GME and compare them, every time GME had a huge spike in price, the XRT price spiked as well. As an example, when we were at the largest price at the $483 it was in January, the price for XRT rose to $90 that day. When it got back down for XRT as well, etc., etc. You get what I mean. As an example, they tell their customers that they, at every rebalance, they throw at stocks that are too volatile or that simply become too risky to keep in the ETF for other reasons. They might ride the wave till March 19th and then sell GME that day. Remember when GME, when they stocked up their GME from 3 to just 10% of their whole portfolio? That was only a few days ago when they did that. Till then, GME was only 3%, and now it's 10% of the whole portfolio. So if they ride the wave till March 19th and then rebalance, they will make a huge amount of gains for themselves until then, because they are probably predicting the squeeze as well to happen. So that's why they stocked up on 7% more of GME for the whole portfolio. Shorts will also have to cover their positions by then, because XRT lent them the shares, and if the XRT sells, they're no longer the owner of the share. So hedge funds borrowed the shares from XRT, and XRT is selling them to another one. Shorts are going to have to cover their positions, and then XRT is able to sell them because, as I said, they are borrowed out right now. XRT can use them until they're closed. So XRT could actually force a bit of a squeeze for the shorter shares within their own ETF. And they could, after they ride the wave and kick out GME at the rebalance date, they could just give a brief and notorious explanation to, I'm going to call them boomers investing into this usually safe ETF, such as, because of the recent hearing on March 19th, that was my catalyst. As I said, it's only a note, so it's pretty scrambled right now. I'm going to hang up a bit on this one right now. The next hearing for GameStop is going to be March 17th, so 2 days prior to the rebalance day. By then, if they found out in that hearing that GME stock was heavily manipulated and was naked shorted many times, is therefore too volatile to keep in their portfolio, they can just say to their customers, for the safety of your investment of our customers, we will hereby remove the GME stock from our GTF, replacing it with insert any safe stock here. So they would make, they would buy new stock around the same amount of GME to replace GME, take huge profits because the GME sale, because they sold GME that day, and they make their customers happy because it looks like they care about the safety and the investment of the customers into the ATF. They would also force the shorts to cover their XRT shorts that day and pay dividends to the customers. So they won't look like the baddies. Everyone's happy and they take massive profit. So if you look back at the chart again, XRT rose in only 6 months from $45 to $80. That is most certainly due to GME. And if they throw out GME, the ETF will probably drop back to around $40 to $50. So that's why the XRT puts are placed in there, because they're not going to destroy the whole ETF, but they're probably going to throw out GME, therefore causing a huge dip in their ETF. But they take huge profits. They can just sell it as, yeah, we dumped it because we care about the safety of our customers. So the customers are happy, ETF is happy because they make large profits, and the ETF is safe again. So therefore the puts.
This very well articulated thoughts as well. It wasn't scrambled at all, in my opinion. I think people have been asking about this, but Rachel Gates Smith wants to ask the question of, tell us about your background, as much as you think is safe to tell us about your background.
Actually, I didn't leak my real age yet. I told people how old I am, but I lied a bit there. I come from a law background. I'm a lawyer, and there's a difference in German law. You have the full lawyer, the practicing one. There are 2 state exams, one after 3 years of studying, that's what I've done, and one after 5 years of studying. That's the second exam. That's what I want to get. So I don't know. Do people want to know my age? I can actually just leak my age here right now. I don't know.
Sure, I leak my age. I don't think that's going to be enough to dox you.
Okay. First of all, I want to hear people think. How old am I?
Yes, let's hear the chat. So right now, people guess my age, even though it's already out in every video that in the description of this video too. And
even I know it.
Yes, and then I guess how old German Elon Musk sounds to you. He is a lawyer.
Why do so many people say that? I don't get it.
You sound rich. You sound like a man who has invested in Neuralink and will one day strap us to the neural net. Where
Okay, I see early 30s a lot of times.
35, 31.
Oh, surely.
Nick Davis is like, who is talking? Nick, what are you doing on this video? It's 27, 309.
Oh yeah, there it is. 12. Someone found
12. 69. 26, 28. This chat is going crazy nuts. So 41, 58. I think the standard distribution is looking like an average of like 35.
Yeah,
I think. Yeah,
I would say the same. Yeah, actually, yeah. No, I don't know if I'm gonna disappoint people, but I'm only 21 years old.
What?
Yes.
Ooh.
What? You're a lawyer?
Yeah, that's why I said the difference. A practicing lawyer is at least around the 30s in Germany, but it's actually possible to be a lawyer. In Germany, we call it Jurist at the early age of 21, almost 22.
You heard it here. Doctors and lawyers can just be 21 years old if you don't live in America. Thank you for revealing your age. I don't think that doxes you, but be careful with anything else. So thank you. Blame Rachel Gates Smith if that doxes him. Just kidding. Potatoes are life. As I understand it, market makers actively hedge options with shares. Can I send you a document that outlines their hedges plus how many shares need to be owned? Yes, you can. You can send it to me via email. I will check my email while Josh answers his next question. Shane Decker says, want to know what were you doing 1 month ago, 3 months ago, 6 months ago? Did you have an idea of that GME moon was coming, or did you pick it up on it recently? Well, we already know you've invested half a year ago.
as I said, yeah, I picked up on it half a year ago. That's when I started investing in it. But I actually researched a bit earlier than that, but only because of Ronan Kitty's videos. But yeah, 6 months ago, I invested in it. I've been riding the wave till then. I became active on Reddit. I think it was around January. I became really active because I, by then, did my own research, but never published it. So I thought to myself, okay, I see a lot of uncertainty, fear spreading in those forums because people didn't know what's happening. A lot of people jumped on the bandwagon without any experience. And as I said, I'm only 21 years old. So speaking of experience, it's not really there. But I have a good ability of understanding situations really, really fast. That's how I got where I am. And yeah, that's how I found out about it because of Roaring Kitty. Then I did my own research and I thought the same. I thought it could moon. I never actually looked at the short interest in the first place, only at the foundations. But when I found out about the short interest, it got much, much, much more exciting. So yeah, that's why I'm still here.
That's awesome. Thank you for answering that question. Lord Weir, jump in at any time if you have another question.
Kind of, yeah, actually. As a fellow Euro ape, so I'm coming out from kind of a similar position as you. The media coverage is something that I've found pretty interesting. It's very much anti-Reddit, from at least in Ireland. That's what
to
it's like.
say the least, yeah.
Yeah, and I was just
that's by the way why. Sorry for interrupting. Sorry.
I was just going to say, is that kind of same in Germany, and do you think it really hurts the momentum? Or do you think we kind of, as a generation, know to ignore the news?
Well, I don't really give a damn F about the media coverage in Germany because people already found out a couple of years ago that the media is not what they thought it was. I'm not going to say it's all fake news, obviously, but a lot of people started questioning more. And I think people are able to have their own thoughts. That's why I was so hesitant to publish my age, because as I said, I'm only 21. That's if you are 21 and people read my research or I would go on TV, they would say, oh, that's an exceptional 21-year-old, but I don't consider me or myself exceptionally. I think a lot of 21-year-olds are out there and they're getting held down by media calling them, they just want to go out and party at that age. They just start studying at that age. But no, there's a lot of more behind that. So I think media really screwed up on this one in Germany as well. The media coverage was, it was shit to say the least. So yeah, same thoughts as you.
Yeah, cool. Confirmation bias confirmed.
Confirmation.
That's what we are here for.
On the back end, I have been answering my email. It looks like Potato Life has sent that spreadsheet. As a reminder, Potato Life's question was, can they send a document that outlines that hedges plus how many shares need to be owned? As they understand it, market makers actively hedge options with shares. So here is a spreadsheet. I suppose you can't really see it clearly, but it's just a bunch of numbers. I guess we're trying to digest this question as much as possible, but I don't think it will be possible. Can you even see it from here, Josh?
I'm trying. I'm trying.
How about this?
But I can't actually. I'm trying, but I can't.
I'm gonna share.
Oh, no, I can. Okay.
Oh, you can?
Now I can. It's gotten bigger.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, it's just a bunch of numbers. As I said, I need to look into that situation. I need to look into the thesis of what the person said. I don't know. So I don't know how reliable his predictions and analysis. But I've read his name a lot of times within the past few days. So he seems to be a genuine guy. I want to look into that, but I promised my wife not to. Fuck. Sorry for swearing.
Oh, good. Well, you heard it here. Speaking of your wife, David Vanilla says, "Hey, it's Pixel. Since you are 21, he is a 12-year-old ape. His wife's boyfriend would like to know if March 19th is the last day for us to sell, or if it's the day that the squeeze starts." This is a great question, right?
Neither of them.
Okay.
March 19th is where a lot of catalysts come together, but my prediction was it starts at least 1 week earlier, so like March 15th. and keeps going for at least 1 week, maybe a couple of weeks after that. Because after that, there's a lot of catalysts as well, such as the Q4 earnings. They released like 4 business days, I think was it, after March 19th. Then there's also the shareholder meeting in January. And for the shareholder meeting, they could pay dividends for the first time in years now. So if they would decide it and the shares would get called back, it would happen around April. So I think there's just too many catalysts around March 19th, 1 week prior, 1 week after, that would keep the flame going. So I think it's going to be a few weeks actually.
That is, and on top of that, you can ignore this question entirely, but I am curious, what is your own personal exit strategy? Would you paper hand at any point along the way up to 100,000?
No, actually, not paper hand, but I would cover my initial investment, yes.
Nice. And that's very, very important. Always have an exit strategy and minimize regret instead of maximizing profits. Jimmy Cap 247, it's just a simple question. Do you think it's beneficial or detrimental to be investing in the US market versus a different time zone?
I need to read the question again, sorry.
US versus non-US time zones. For me, I have to wake up. If I wanted to trade in the pre-market, I'd have to wake up at like 1 a.m.
Yeah. I actually think I have a huge advantage as a European because a lot of stocks are being traded on German markets as well. As an example, we have our own GME stock in Germany, actually. I think it's called GS2C, which is being traded in Frankfurt and etc. So it's actually a huge advantage because it's being actively traded, not just in pre-market and after hours. It's an active trading day. So from that, I can, depending on the volume, see how, in what direction we're going when the American market opens. So that helped me a lot with GME because at 10 a.m. German time, the pre-market in the US opens. So I'm always awake. 1 hour prior to that, the German market opens. So from those two things, you can actually see direction where stock is going at 3:30 German time. That's when American markets open. So it's actually a huge advantage if you're trading on American markets but are in European time zone.
Awesome. Okay. I never even thought about that very closely. Thayank has been putting this in the live chat. I wanted to make sure I get some coverage. Will an emergency shareholder meeting force shorts to cover, e.g. the FTDs before 2020 annual meeting? They also want you to look at stockholdersrights.com and they want you to sign the letter. What do you think about that?
I actually signed the letter a couple of weeks ago.
Nice.
When the project got put into place, I was one of the first ones to sign. And I think a emergency shareholder meeting per se can't force a short squeeze, but depending on what the outcome of the emergency shareholder meeting is, it could actually start a short squeeze because if we find out in the shareholder meeting that a lot of GameStop shareholders are concerned for the safety of their security, GameStop, as the manager of that stock, has to act. So only way to act is to call back the shares, count them, see how many counterfeit shares, how many naked shorts, etc. Are out by then. So it's not just the meeting per se, it's the outcome of the meeting.
If you guys have the insight into naked shorts and all the other tricky ways that the hedge funds keep the price down, even weeks ago I mentioned that there are ways to try to get in contact with GameStop and investor relationships. This is a great way to also make your voice heard. You guys have already subscribed. You guys have already hit that bell button, but will you guys make your voice heard this way as well? Go ahead and sign that letter approved by Josh. Matthew, it says, so will XRT will spike along with GME on the way? Winky to a gamma? Diamond?
It will, yes. But it's just an underlying stock with 10% of the portfolio. So it obviously won't rise as much. When we saw GME at $483, I already said it. XRT rose to $91, but that was when it was only 3% of the volume. I'm not quick at math in my head right now, but if you calculate yourself, you can actually calculate when we're going to hit around the $500 mark, where XRT is going to be by then. So you just got to multiply it.
Multiplication. We love to do the math. Steves is asking, can the short squeeze collapse the entire economy? And if the price is going too high and Melvin can't pay, who will be responsible?
I don't think they're going to crash the entire economy. They're definitely going to cause some dips in a few stocks because hedge funds are always invested in other stocks as well. They never focus on a single stock such as GME. It's just gotten into focus because there's a lot of stuff surrounding it. But yeah, market will definitely take a huge dip if hedge funds are going to cover their shorts because they have to liquidate all the other assets in order to cover their shorts. Is it going to crash the market? No. And if Melvin can't pay, who will be responsible? There's always institutions behind or let's say above Melvin. Prime brokers, banks, insurances. So there's always someone who has to pay. If it's their insurance, if we screw up X and the outcome is Y, they have to pay. So that's when the insurance will cover. Let's say the insurance is not able to cover because they didn't pay for the coverage right now because Melvin did illegal action and that is not in their insurance policy. Prime brokers will have to cover, such as a DTCC. So there's always someone who has to pay. So that's why I always say it's kind of safe for the short squeeze to happen. I always said 99.9%. I'm retracting that. It's pretty certain, it's pretty safe, but we never know for certain. So take that with a huge grain of salt. There's always going to have to someone who has to pay for it. But yeah, we'll have to see what happens. That's it.
Someone has to pay always. Kev says, fraudulent bonds led the collapse in 2008. Fraudulent short shares is happening now. Do you think this is history repeating itself? Pretty philosophical.
I actually read a nice quote. History never repeats itself, but man does. So yeah, I think people who screw up once are screwing up all the time. So not necessarily history repeating itself, but people are doing the same mistakes again. Yes.
This is a 21-year-old, but so old and wise in the ways of the world. Hyde Michael says, can you discuss with Josh what will happen during a short squeeze? What will happen? I think we already answered this, but people are asking about your price prediction of how high it can go. You don't have to answer that question, but what do you think?
I'm going to skip on that one.
Okay.
As I said, I have my own thoughts on that. I have my set sell limits, but I'm not going to talk about them.
That's smart. Let's see. So this is an interesting one. The same short share can be bought and sold multiple times, adding to short volume without increasing the short interest. This throws off many, if most, of your calculations they claim. Do you have a reply?
Yeah, I do. As I said, you have to look at certain factors. Let's start. Where were those shares bought from? There was at those days when they had massive short attacks, there was not a single share available to borrow. So where did they get them from? Either naked shorting or insider trading. So someone who didn't put them out on the market but lent them behind their backs. But for then, you have to know how does shorting work in general. I already talked about that volume is not equal to interest. But to close a short position, they need to borrow the share. So if they're naked short, they don't even have the share yet. They need to present the share within a given time limit. But if they don't have it, but let's say it wasn't a naked short, they need to borrow the share. They need to sell it and then buy back the stock, which is creating a price drive up. They then have to return that stock borrowed share to the lender, and then this stock needs to be borrowed again and sold to be another short. So they cannot close all of the short positions with such little shares in circulation. You need to buy back shares for the market in order to close out your positions, but there are close to none out there because, as I said, supply and demand. There's just simply too few shares, available shares to buy back out there. So that's why I stated 33 million at least was a volume at one day, and highest report was 51 million. They didn't open 51 million. I never said that, but I said we're going to take the middle, which was 42 million, and the short volume was 42 million. If they would have closed out the shorts, and borrowed them again to double short, triple short, quadruple short, whatever, it would have driven up the price, but it never happened. Every time there was a short attack, the price didn't go back up after, at least not to crazy heights. There was one after the big short attack at the start on February 24th. They had like 18.363 million shares shorted, and the price recovered from that to the middle of the market. After that, another short attack happened. Price recovered by just a bit, and then it got completely destroyed at the end of the day. So there's no way that they double borrowed or triple borrowed those shares. They opened a lot of tens of millions of new positions, because otherwise they would have driven up the price again and again, then crashing it down, driving it back up. But that never happened in that extent. That would show, okay, they now closed about 20 to 30 million positions. There was simply no volume for that. So that's not happening.
Great. Awesome, comprehensive question. Lord Weir, do you want to jump in anytime?
Sure. Yeah, I was just going to swing back to the DD. I was just having another look at it there. I don't know if it's something you've addressed in your comments or anything, but just a question I kind of had for you was on the AI prediction. Just I know it's something that a lot of people kind of look at with reasonable skepticism. Do you know the underlying data for that? And is it available anywhere on the interwebs?
It is available to the public. I actually saw a post about it. I think I'm going to link it on my Reddit profile.
Awesome.
Within the next few days. I quoted the CSV file from MarketWatch. That was the underlying data. But you always have to have an input into the AI in order to have a calculation and an output. So I can quote the post where the input, the output, and the data was stated. So yesterday I opened the stream with Andrew actually saying the AI prediction is one of the least trustable catalysts in this one. I just quoted it because it just fit the DD. But there's no reason for it being on number one. And it shouldn't be trusted blindly, but that's obviously what I put in the huge disclaimer already, which is a novel by itself. It shouldn't be trusted blindly. Always take it with a huge grain of salt. And I'm not saying the price has to become true, because the AI predicted a price of 130,000 a share. Latest data for some predictions are even stating 30 million a share. I even quoted that and said I'm going to take the quote-unquote realistic one, more realistic one. But yeah, I'm not betting on the AI being true. I'm not betting on the price being true. I'm not betting on the date being true. But it just supported everything around the date, because that AI prediction was done, I think, 1.5 weeks prior to the DD I put out. It just fit everything I researched. That's why I put it in there. But take it with a huge grain of salt. Good that people question it, because as I said, I didn't read any comments yet. I read some messages. But I promised that I was going to keep off of Reddit for some time.
I did think it was. I thought it was funny that the time you joined in the chat and I first seen you mentioned that it was you. Was the one moment that we were slightly skeptical of something you said. Other than that, we were like praising you for doing all the work. So let's chat. And the one moment you joined was when we were talking about that. It was just funny.
Yeah, you summoned me. I can say I actually subscribed to Andrew when he was about 5,000 subscribers big.
Wow.
So I mean, that's not that long ago. But I logged off Reddit. I turned off everything. I turned on YouTube to distract myself. And then I all of a sudden see some familiar phrases on the thumbnail of a live stream. So I clicked on that and I see my name. So I was like, okay, what's going on here?
That's awesome.
And now I'm here. By the way, I'm going to have to mention, I have 5 more minutes left. My wife is going to kill me.
Finn, his wife's boyfriend. Justin Horn, in the spirit of considering alternate explanations, is it possible the high options volume examined is just due to quad witching day?
Could be, but I looked back to other quad witching days. It was never that high. So people ask me a lot on that. Did you compare it with other monthlies, other weeklies, other quad witching days? I did, and that's why I put it in there, because it's still astounding, especially in volume. People are betting that the market is going to take a huge dip That's not normal for quote witching days because you never know in which direction the market's going to go. So there's usually a huge volume in call sales because it's the monthly and it's also quote witching day. But there's also going to be a few puts because people are hedging against every possible outcome. So if the market takes a dip, they want to be secure on both sides of the trade. But this time, as I said, the volume was much higher than with any last quote witching day and any last weeklies and monthlies. That's why I put it in there.
Great answer. Let's see. We have a spiz. Some fun questions from Bram Baker. Let's see. We got some recalls here. Please. Oh yeah, we asked Mike's question already. Jansen Lee, one of the points mentioned is okay. This question's a little technical. One of the points mentions the high put OI on blue chips such as Apple, but when you look at call OI, it's equally as high. E.g., 135C for Apple has over 200K OI. Is the OI really significant?
It is still, yeah. I am writing that down and taking a look back at it. I can't say anything to that. I mean, it could have changed while I made my DD. Could have been more call spot, more put spot, but I'm going to have to take a look at that.
Sounds good. It looks like we have a few last minute questions we got from B. My hands are shaking. Hold on. Hand spaghetti, mom spaghetti. Looking at spaghetti already. Okay, B says, if the price does moon, can they disable sells? But if things do go in our favor, what post-repercussions will there be on the market and currency? I think we have answered this in a couple of ways, but what do you think about that quickly?
I never thought thoroughly about the possible outcome of this. As I stated, there's definitely, most certainly going to be new restrictions put into place. I think in America, options trading might get a bit more restricted. It is here in Germany. We can not trade with options without a broker's license or with years of experience in trading. I think the US is going to implement something like that. And for the hedge funds, I think naked shorting, it is illegal in the EU. You can't short a stock more than there's free float, obviously, for obvious reasons, to prevent a situation like GameStop that just happened. In the US, it's not illegal entirely. There are a few loopholes that market makers and hedge funds use, but they actually fail to deliver on a lot of those loopholes. So they have to pay some fines. There will be some repercussions for them because they violated the law, they violated trading rules. But about new restrictions put into place, I never thought thoroughly about it, other than maybe naked shorting being prohibited completely and options trading getting restricted.
Got it. Good answer. Lord Weird, I only have one more, which is just more of an AMC question. So making sure that you guys, those of you who are for AMC to the moon, they think that would it be beneficial for people to diversify their portfolio with both stocks?
Let me start. When I was a young boy in Bulgaria,
yes.
No, first of all, I always admit to improving. And second of all, as I said, I'm not invested into AMC. I would buy GME shares. It's still, I'm beginning to sound like DFW now, so I'm really mustn't DFW. It's still an attractive price because in my option, we found our bottom for now. So it's only about to rise. So that's just my prediction. Please, as I said, never invest money you can lose. Take it with a grain of salt. Do your own research. Just because I'm saying now it's a confirmation to buy, don't take it as you have to buy now. But rather, it's just I forget it. My opinion. It's an attractive price point right now, so do it.
Yes, just an opinion. And then finally, Reese Shope says, what does Josh think the max cost to borrow additional shorts will reach before the cost becomes too much? It was at 12% from all the way down from 1%, which they've heard costs billions per hour, but they need clarity.
The max cost to borrow additional shorts will reach before the... So actually, the fees for shorts to borrow went up to, let me think, I think it was 84% on the rise in January 26th.
Wow.
So it's going to be becoming way too expensive to keep opening short positions because people that are borrowing their share, they're taking the risk that they're never getting back their money, or at least not for a long time. they could have made their money themselves with the share borrowed. If they just would have kept it, because then they would have the share, the price is rising, and then they could sell it at any price point. That's why the fee was so high at 84% on that small rise. I think it's going to get much higher. 100% is not the limit to prevent hedge funds from naked shorting again, because everyone who's borrowing out shares is at the risk of not getting them back or simply not getting paid. So shares and fees to borrow are going to rise immensely. That's why I took it in my DD as well, as a counting factor for a rise that's about to start. So yeah, the more the fee to borrow rises, the more brokers I'm losing my words again. Banks, brokers, everyone who's lending out shares sees a risk of never seeing back the money. So the higher the percentage, the higher the volatility, the higher the price of GME. That's just my thought.
Perfect. Thank you for answering such a technical question to end with. If you guys had not yet shown Josh the love that he deserves, go ahead, go into either the videos before, show him some, send him some positive vibes in the comment section. Go ahead and like those videos, including this one. And Josh or Lord Weird, any final questions or thoughts before we wrap up?
Do you have any?
Lord Weird?
Is he still here?
I've got nothing.
Got nothing.
Just peace and love. There's peace and love.
Peace and love.
Yeah, I've got some final words. First, shout out to my wife, who's tolerating me just sitting here for I think 45 minutes longer than expected. So yeah, I love you. Ich liebe dich. And shout out to my German brothers and sisters listening. If I may say something on German, because I read in the subreddit that not everyone is so fluent in English. So
no, go ahead.
Allowed. Okay. Das Spielstopp Subreddit, vielen Dank für euren Support. Ich habe alle Kommentare dort gelesen unter meinen DDs, bin gut empfangen worden, bin immer offen für Fragen. Möchte ich jetzt nochmal auf Deutsch bedanken für den Support und für dass ihr mir das alles ermöglicht habt, mir die Plattform geboten habt, dass ich mich heute den ganzen Fragen stellen konnte. Ich hoffe, ihr wart auch dabei. Ich hoffe, ihr habt eure Gains auch sicher und wir sehen unsere deutschen Techies in the future. So yeah, that's it. That's all I have to say. Thank you for the warm welcoming from your side, from the chat. Thanks for making me feel so welcome here. Thanks everyone for their questions and everyone for their loving words. I read so many messages by parents, grandparents, that I'm the talk of the household right now. My name is being dropped everywhere. They were so excited to see this Q&A today. So yeah, I was happy to answer all the questions. And thank you for everything. That's it. I love you guys.
Josh, I love you. We're going to stay friends after this. Hope you get your well-deserved rest. I'm going to keep talking to you over on Reddit, but it means so much that you came out not once, not twice, but then for an unexpected comeback a third time today. Thank you so much, man.
Yeah, thank you guys again. Danke an die Deutschen. Wir sehen uns auf dem Mond und till then, have a great evening, everyone. I'm off the interwebs for a few weeks now, and I'm going to go to my wife, greet them all from you, and showing her some of the kind messages that I've been receiving.
Well deserved.
Yeah. Shout out to Meatball as well. The future friend of Akihiro.
Yes, Akihiro, cannot wait to see pictures. Dankeschön and gute Nacht. Goodbye.
Gute Nacht, Dankeschön. See ya. Goodbye.
Well, that was that. If you guys liked that interview, boy, oh boy, was that a long part of my Sunday. It's time to give Meatball a walk. It's time for me to go and enjoy the rest of the day, in which case you guys should as well. But before I go, remember, in the pinned comment, there's a little note that says, hey, I'm about to be 20,000 subscribers. I would love for you to be part of that journey. Let me just check to see if we actually made it. But before that, 20,011 subscribers. Thank you guys. I owe you. I cannot tell you how stoked I am that 20,000 of you can bear me dumb ape ing all over the place. I'm gonna make it up to you guys. I'm gonna put out some videos about how it feels to be at 20,000. I'm gonna make some videos about how it took to get me up to 20,000. And of course, we're not going to stop live streaming. I'll see you guys bright and early tomorrow morning at market open. And most importantly, I hope you guys have taken the time to spend a little bit of mental relaxation for yourself. I hope you guys had some time to pet a dog, to hug a family member, of course, if they are safe to do so in your household. And for now, but not for forever, let's get this bread. It's not over until it's over.